What's up, guys? Sub-Zero here, back for not another VOD review because today is release day for set 18. So I wanted to do a comps overview video explaining some of the best comps, how to play them, just so that you guys can hit the ground running in set 18. If you guys also want to accelerate your climb for the set, I would really request that you go check out my Metafy over here. We've got individual coaching, we've got group sessions and training plans that have multiple sessions bundled together. In my group session, I just went over yesterday a longer form version of this, going through a lot more of the comps, a lot more of the meta, answering questions from my students. And so if you guys want to be a part of that, you can go watch the VOD from literally yesterday. You get access to all the VODs. We did a ton of sessions over PBE that are still relevant. So go check out Tacticians University or Legendary Tacticians, and you can always just do one-on-one sessions as well. So I'd really request that you go check it out, especially as well, because as a full-time creator, this is one of the ways that I support myself. So if you want to support the channel and also get better at TFT, it would be greatly appreciated. Okay, self-promo out of the way. Let's get into it. I'm not obviously going to be able to go over every comp. I have it in this list here. So I'm just going to go over the ones that I think are the most important for you guys to know on today, on launch day. But a quick explainer for the tier list. Obviously, we have the tier here, the style of like what it is, what the conditions for this line, the comp. These are things that I want to explain a little bit. So first of all, we have a link to the Explorer here. So for example, if you're playing Aphelios Rift Piece, you can click here, boom, this will take you immediately to an Explorer with Aphelios with 3 items, Brambleback and Sentinel onto your board here. This, I don't want to over filter and do like a million things, but I think this is a pretty reasonable filter to say, okay, I'm probably playing this line in general in this spot here. And you can use this to look at builds. You can use this to look at like, okay, what's the best like radiant items and all this kind of stuff. Just a really quick way to get a peek at the stats here, figure out what the best like level 9s are on the comp in general. So that's step 1. Step 2, another way to look at the stats is a link to TFT table. I think this is just the best stats website. No ads. Literally, they are not paying me. But hey, if you work at TFT Table and you're watching this and you want to send me some money to do what I'm already doing, I wouldn't mind it. But this is a great site where, once again, you can see BIS, you can see items, you can see item priority. I think this site is just beautiful, honestly. You can see emblems. It's just the most elegant way that it lays out a lot of data. And then the last link I have here is just a link to the planner, which might look a little weird if you're looking at it right now. Is this BIS positioning? No, it's not. Don't frontline your Zyra. We will talk about this in a sec, but I want to go through the rest of the spreadsheet to explain what the heck is going on and how I have these set up. Augments here, I have the formula bar. You can see it up here. So you can see, boom, here's a bunch of really good augments here. The other nice thing about putting all these in is, say you have a portable forge. You can type Control F and see, boom, 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 boom. These are all good portable forge augments or comps. Or you can take Kingslayer and say, boom, 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 boom. These are all good Kingslayer lines. And so 6 of 7 even. So this is the idea. Obviously, I don't have every augment for every comp here, but I just put some of the best ones for a lot of these lines, and I will definitely be updating this over time, so definitely something to think about. And then the last thing I have here, or the penultimate thing I have here, is win streak, loss streak, high econ, low econ. The idea here is to categorize these comps based on what makes them strong. And so, for example, if you're lose streaking, you probably can't play one of these like fast 9 lines. It's just not very realistic. So what you can do, filter the spreadsheet here. You'll have to make a copy of this for this, but you can. Filter the spreadsheet, boom, these are all your loss streak lines. And so you can say, okay, you know, are there some reroll lines that I want to play here? Do I want to try to play into one of these 4-cost lines? Like, how do I... what can I actually play from this spot? So I think it's a really just nice way to categorize stuff. And then the last thing I have here is recent scores. So the idea here is you can input your scores. So say I went 3rd, 2nd, 1st, 4th on this line. That is a 2.5 ABP. So it will calculate a quick average of these. And then the other nice thing is it will fill out this tab here if you put your own scores into it with your lines and what your averages are on all of these lines here. So you can just get a quick list from best to worst on what your lines are. And so, oh, I really suck at Rift Beast reroll. So maybe I'm going to start playing this line some more, do some VOD reviews of it, or that kind of stuff. So that is the idea. Remember to leave the formula here so it will calculate. And hey, this is what happens when you do Excel for a job before you become TFT as a job. Okay, let's talk some comps now that we've gotten through the sheet. So I think I still have this one open, right? Yep. I am going to talk through The best, most consistent lines, I really want to talk through, I really want to give you just kind of like a range for the different lines that you can play in general. Not necessarily going to give you like every single line, obviously, because there's too many here, but say like, okay, here are, the 5 comps that you are going to play the most. So let's hop into it. The first one that I think you are going to be playing a lot is Morgana Flex. They have nerfed a lot of the other 4-cost angles and left Morgana just kind of broken for the entire PBE and now live. So this unit, I think you're going to want to play around a lot. Now, what the heck am I looking at here? Should I put my Nidalee on my front line and all my units on my back line? No, this is not positioning. This is kind of like a map for how to play the line. So you can see here, down here, Morg, Cog, Pebbles, Sentinel. At the bottom, I'm always going to have what the core of the line is. These are the units that you're basically always going to be playing in this comp. And then up here, we have packages. And then on the other side, we have units that you can replace them with. So most obvious example, I didn't hit a Taric yet. Okay, play Hecarim for now. Totally reasonable replacement for Taric. He's just the worst Vanguard. Okay, maybe I'm in this situation where I don't have a double AP items. I don't have like Morello and stuff for Morgana, and I need Nidalee. I don't have Nidalee items. Okay, that's totally fine. Why don't you swap to this version? Boom, boom, boom. Now we're playing the Brambleback version with Diana and Hecarim and 4 Vanguard on our board. We need to go level 9. Well, boom, there's the Elune. That's our level 9 on the comp. Really, really easy way to just map out the different variations of these lines and see how to play them. And I think this is really, really, really important for this set because every line is super flex. There are so many variations of all the different lines out there. There is almost no level 8 comp where you should just say, I'm just going to play this version. I mean, there's more versions than what I have here. Absolutely. Like, okay, maybe you hit a random set 2 on your way while you're playing this line. Okay, well, maybe I fit like a set 2 plus a Krug package on this board and end up, cutting some extra pieces on this board. Like, there is a lot of different stuff that you can fit on these lines. So the first advice I'll give you, which is just generic, is be flex, roll down, but don't roll too quickly for just 8 units. Be open to playing these different variations, especially the ones that I have in the sheet, but honestly, be open to cooking. Now, to talk about this line in general, Morgana, you must get to Morello and Voidstaff on this unit. If you're playing Nidalee, if you're playing Brambleback, you can skip out on the Voidstaff. Yes, I know that Kog'Maw exists on this board. Why would I build Voidstaff then? For 2 reasons. One is that Kog'Maw only hits 2 targets, so he is not, Voidstaffing the entire board with his effect. And the other reason is that Morgana very often hits backline. She will very often drop a giant pool here and hit a few backline units, and Nidalee has backline access built in, so you can get that MR Shred on a backliner and just start one-tapping them with the Voidstaff here. So Morgana, you're basically always building Morello plus Voidstaff type stuff. After that, it's just a damage item. Death cap, quite reasonable. JG if you have to. If you must, you can build a mana item, but you can see, I mean, we're playing such high Invoker on this board. You really don't want to build a mana item in general. You'd really love to just finish this out with something like a Death Cap here. Nidalee items, this unit needs a Gwynsu's Rageblade for the most part. JG is quite good on her because she is an adapter, so you're already getting a bunch of free stats from just adapter being on this board already, so you don't really have to worry about building a bunch of AP on her. But Death Cap's also very, very good, so that's definitely... Death Cap's almost never bad on anybody, honestly, I'll say. You can definitely go Death Cap on her. If you don't have this, Nashers is another very reasonable item. Guardbreaker's a very reasonable item, so you can do this kind of stuff. And then lastly, just your tank items in this line. Usually you will be tanking Sentinel, so stuff like Protector's Vow, Adaptive Helm, very, very good on this guy in general, just to get him casting. So this is a very good line. You're gonna play this from AP items, play this from Rift Beast openers, especially with like Pebbles, to just carry the item straight to Morgana Nidalee. Kog'Maw early in general, and any kind of like adapter opener plays very nicely into this in general, and it's just very, very good. Your primal buff will be Turtle in this comp. They nerfed the execute from the other buff, and also a lot of this damage these days comes from Morgana on this line, so you really do not need the execute. You really would just prefer Turtle for the time on this line. So yeah, that's the long and short of it. Let's get into the next one, which is another 4-cost line that I think is going to be seeing a ton of play, which is Aphelios Rift Beast. So once again, this is our core of the line. Aphelios, Sentinel, Brambleback, Mamabeak, and Diana here. You're basically always going to be playing these lines because they fit together, or these units because they fit together beautifully for a ton of traits. And then you have some flex slots here. So the first flex slot is Zyra versus Morgana. Zyra and Morgana, both fantastic carries onto this board. Zyra because she's giving you Summoner for Mama Beak and also just some utility and also some good damage. And then Morgana because aforementioned, Morgana's kind of broken. You just want to play Morgana basically every chance you get. So this is very, very good to play towards. And usually you're going to play this for Vanguard version, the Hecarim Taric version. Once again, do not fall into this pitfall of only playing one version. Okay, I don't have Taric, I'll play Elise. Okay, I hit an Amumu early. Well, why don't I just play this version, the York Amumu version? Great, you get 3 Summoner in, you get an Amumu as your front line. It's very, very strong as well. Aphelios items, as you saw, let me bring up TFT table because I think it's really instructive here about his items. He has no core items really. And the items that are core are just these damage, like AD items. It's very interesting. This unit does not require Gwynsu's Rageblade. They've tried to push him more in that direction. And it's not a bad item on him. It's not like you must build Gwynsu's on him, but you do not need Gwynsu's Rageblade on this guy by any means. If you want to, once again, look at the Explorer here. If you want to look at like Aphelios items, let's look at the last 4 days because that's a big enough sample here. You can look at Aphelios builds and you can see stuff like this that even has no Gwynsu's but has red buff instead looks quite good. If you even scroll down a bit, because Gwynsu's is still built very frequently, but you can see built super frequently, not great stats, slightly positive delta. That doesn't mean you should never build it, but doesn't mean you must. And you see a build like this, right? i.e. LW Kraken, negative delta, one of the better builds that you can go on this guy. So in general, don't worry too much about his items. You can also see a Gwynsu Kraken setup performing well on him. The big thing is just get some source of AD onto this guy. Get him either a Deathblade or a Kraken or an IE or some combination of the 3, and this guy is going to go crazy. Brambleback itemization usually is some combination of the Sterax, the Edge of Night, and the QSS. This build performs really, really well, and then you can swap out some of these items for other stuff. So you can fit BT in here if you need it. You usually will be marking the Brambleback here for the healing and the burn. So you don't really need healing. As you can see, this is the best build, but you can see it's not bad. You can definitely build BT out here. Obviously, we're getting to low sample, but really just build some damage items, usually including like a Sterax or an Edge of Night is most important. And then Sentinel, we've talked about, is Sentinel here. So that's the idea behind this line. These are the variations. Is very, very good. This is, if you look at my list here, let me close some of these out. It's hard when I can't actually see all my tabs, but I want to make it look nice for you guys. This is like the only unconditional 4-cost AD line, I will say. Because the other 4-cost AD line is Vertical Elderwood. And you need an Elderwood spat to reach this line. And I don't want to go way deep into this line, but just very quickly, the idea is you get Elderwood spat, you play 7 Elderwood with Soraka Fiddlesticks on your board, and is good. Is a good line. You put items on Ez, you put items on Soraka. Eventually you find Gnar, throw him onto the board over anybody, really, over Ornn or Xayah here. Get the Gnar in, he does some work, and bada bing, bada boom. That's what you got going on here. But the problem is, without Elderwood spat, you basically must reach Gnar for this to be a board. You have to reach Gnar and then get your 7 Elderwood in, which is very difficult. So this line is gated behind Elderwood spat. So you basically cannot play this without that, which means that Aphelios is, the unit that you can play with no spat. Ezreal you can't play from this, and then you might say, okay, what about Sivir? Well, Sivir is basically gated behind these fast 9 type options. She is very reliant on Ashe to be played. You basically need to reach Ashe so that you can play this kind of line here where you duo carry Sivir plus Ashe, play this kind of stuff. You can also do this Ahri plus Sivir plus Ashe version. That this is, honestly, we can talk about this more in a sec, but this is the other version that you can play around Sivir. So just when you're making AD items, realize that like Aphelios is like basically the only unconditional 4-cross line that you can play from this. Outside of that, there is good reroll that you can play as well. But before we get into that, I want to get into the other AP stuff that you can play. So the Soraka Zyra line is 1, very flexible, and 2, very, very strong, especially after nerfs to some of the other AP carries, Ahri falling off a little bit. Soraka, I think stonks are going up a good bit here. And so this is the idea, is you're going to play around this really, really tight core. Soraka, Azir, Malphite, Yorick, and Fiddlesticks. These units just feel very, very good to play around. Oftentimes, you're going to cap out with this Amumu, Zyra, Kennen setup here. Have Malphite be your main tank, obviously. You're getting 3 Executioner in. The board's very good. Don't hit Kennen, no problem. I can play Shen on this board, get Defender, and still keep Inferno on this board. I can play Yunara on this board. It's not my favorite, but I'll do it if I must. If I don't have any of the other pieces, I can play Ezreal on this board as well as just another like duo carry on this board. So all these units playable for sure. And then what if I hit some early Ahri as well? Boom, boom. We can fit 3 Blossom onto this board really easily. And then we have a nice duo carry in the, or duo tank in the set. It's a tad bit awkward to get Brawler in here. There's not much that you really want to play because you're already, like you're always going to play as your Malphite. So like Rek'Sai is a little awkward to fit here. Like you can't really cut this guy. If you don't have Malphite 2 and you have like set 2, you could think about dropping this for Rek'Sai perhaps. But the most obvious way to fit it in is just get a Gnar in on 9 and play around this. So this is another great line. Let's pull over the statistics so we can talk a little bit about itemization for it. And honestly, the TFT table is just, as always, the cleanest way to look at it. Soraka, she wants casting items, she wants AP. She is one of these units where, you know, she's not getting AP from any trait, so Death Cap is fantastic on her. Nashor's obviously, because she's a spell crit, or because she's an executioner, is good, but Shojin is totally serviceable as well. Just want to get her some casting ability. Archangel's pretty good on her as well. And Zyra tends to be your util holder in this line. Really good Void Staff holder. Don't really need to build red buff Sunfire because you're going to get Inferno in, but the Void Staff will go into the Zyra and feel quite good. And then Shojin, get her casting. Executioner emblem is where this is going to fit usually. Another point about Zyra that I think is quite important is that she summons her plants, and these just attack the nearest enemy to her, or to the plant. These essentially are creating new units that are not respecting the previous aggro. What this means is that she's very good into melee boards. You can summon a bunch of plants and they can just chew down melee carries, which is really, really, really powerful. So definitely if you think, oh, this guy's playing Yi, this guy's playing Warwick, like if we end up getting into that kind of meta, then a Zyra carry world will be very, very good. Just big Malphite in front and then Zyra just chewing through the melee carries, not respecting the aggro of the normal front line. So this is something to think about as well in this line. Malphite, big gargoyle guy. He's got gargoyle built in via his monolith trait, so why not double down on it? Go gargoyle, Warmogs, give him a bunch of tank stats, especially because he casting it's a giant shield as well. Crown Guard really good on this guy. Crown Guard is just really good in this set in general. There's a lot of tanks that scale with AP. Malphite obviously being one of them, Amumu being one of them, Set being one of them. Like almost every tank scales with AP. So you can feel really, really good about building this on this guy. Okay, so that's that board. I'm going to close out some of these boards just to get my sanity there. Ahri stonks, I think, are obviously going down a little bit. She did get nerfed, but you can still play her for sure. You can play this version, the Force Spellweaver. This is more like a level 8 capped version of the board that just gets some nice traits in. Though, honestly, what I really want to talk about with Ahri is the high cap version of this, which is Ahri Ashe. This was the highest cap comp, I would say, in the game during PBE. With the Ahri nerfs, I think this will be a little bit weaker, so it's down to like a very reasonable tier, but you're still going to see this winning a lot of games on live. And so the idea is you duo carry Ahri plus Ashe, Sivir plus Vi fit in for really nice traits. You can keep 5 Blossom in just to guarantee a bunch of charms onto this board. Gnar fits in for a good backliner, and the board's just good, honestly. Like, the board is very good. There's not that many swap outs that you really want to make here. Obviously, if you can, like, push levels eventually and pick up stuff like Blossom Lux, this is something that you can definitely consider, or even just drop out of something like a Zyra for this Blossom Lux, I think is totally fine. So definitely something that you can do, and will be very strong and will win a lot of games in general. The backline nuking potential of Ashe plus Ahri is just absolutely disgusting. Like, there's so many situations where your Ahri plus Ashe just go absolutely crazy. Honestly, I clicked into the Explorer, but I feel like Explorer is for like artifact and radiant item and like very specific BIS, and this is really good to just see general BIS. And I want to talk about general BIS because Ahri, She must get JG, essentially. You need to get her casting. And then Shojin is good. Blue buff is quite good on her as well. It's just item economy-wise, it's a little bit hard to make. But this is just a good, easy setup to make in general. And then Striker's Flail, just boom, give her all of this damage on the setup. You can definitely go like JG Nasher setups as well. Like a JG Nash setup is totally fine. Just once again, a little bit harder to get to item economy-wise. Set, once again, this Gargoyle Warmogs tank. You will see this set. Gargoyle Warmogs show up on like almost every unit. Gargoyle Warmogs, Set, Malphite, Amumu. Lilia is not the best holder of it, but honestly, you can throw them onto her. A lot of the other tanks, like the frontline tanks, like Alistar, Scuttle Crab, like the 2-cost tanks. Like everybody uses these items, so be very open to slamming Gargoyles this set. It is very, very good. The set is just full of these mega tanks who just take a bunch of damage, and then are happy about it. And then Ashe. Usually just some kind of cast item on her, and then util. She's such a good holder of stuff like Red Buff and the Last Whisper because she is constantly reapplying these effects with her damage over time from her trail. So she's just the util unit, and she's really, really good at it. So this line is still going to be very, very, very good. Notice positioning-wise, they had it. I mean, I still have them here because there's not that much to talk about in like extra units on this line, but notice positioning-wise, I have Ahri and Ashe on opposite sides. The dream is, of course, the enemy team has a carry on this side, and what happens is Ashe shoots all the way across, hits this unit, gets them weak, and then Ahri sends the Spirit Bomb here, and then ends up splashing backline. So this is the idea. You should be doing this a lot of the time. All right, now we're at 20 minutes, so let's go through some reroll stuff real quick because I don't want to make this video too long. In terms of really good reroll lines, you've got Solar Kale. We've talked about this before, so I won't belabor the point, but I still really like this Elderwood version. The statistics don't even hate the Inferno version, so I think you can play that as well. They're pretty equivalent. I've been defaulting to this, but I think the Inferno version is very good too. So I think you can definitely play this. The big thing to think about with this line is you have to 3-star 5 units to really get Solar online. Oh, thanks Tactics.tools for not telling me, but the comp really comes online with 5 3-star units. This means you really need econ. If you look at my recommended augments for this comp, you can see Kingslayer, Wisp Rebate, Prismatic Ticket. All of these augments are really heavy econ augments that will allow you to hit your board at a reasonable timing so that you can start to get strong. Because if you don't reach your 3 stars, the board will not be strong. The other piece to that is that you don't care so much about getting like an early Sejuani from Orb or an early Kale from Orb even, weirdly enough. You care really about getting that Ornn 2, that Xayah 2, that Leona 2, so that you have these 2-star 1 costs so that you can play around them, get really, really strong early, and also get quickly to your 3 stars, because the biggest trap that you fall into with this line is getting bench locked. It's very, 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 easy to get bench locked in this line. It's just... Be careful. Be careful about getting bench locked. In your mind, have your priority of units. This is usually the 1 cost first, like the Xayah, the Ornns, Leonas of the world. Rakan is hard to prioritize because he comes onto the board later. But, if you find a way to get him in via a Cursed Crown or something, you can go for him. And then, Kale is next on the order. And then LeBlanc and Sejuani are usually the ones you give up on. Hecarim as well, because he comes to the board way late. So, these are the units that usually end up skipping on and not being able to 3-star. You will also notice that I have LeBlanc on this board, even though technically you could cut her and the traits wouldn't change at all. Why? Well, she's got this print effect. This print effect that gives you a copy of a unit on your board is really, really powerful with a reroll comp like this that also really needs econ. So she's just very, very good on the board in general. Play around this LeBlanc unit, print a bunch of copies. LeBlanc 2 ups her print chance a lot. If you can somehow hit LeBlanc 3 without getting bench locked, this increases your print chance by an insane amount and can open up the win out where if you hit 8 3-stars on your board, your units start ascending to 4-star and you will just win the game for free basically every time. So keep that in mind. Very good reroll line to play towards. Another good reroll line to play is Caitlyn reroll. The idea behind this is you just play Caitlyn and 4 Juggernauts and you're done. You're done. It's a very good line, very simple. One of the few unconditional lines, one of the few unconditional reroll lines here where really all you need are some items. If you have a Gwynsu Kraken, you're basically home. Now, you must have Gwynsu in this comp. You can see 0.78. This is a very high necessity. It means you need to get to Gwynsu's or this line is absolute trash. So definitely prioritize Guinsoo and don't play this comp when you cannot reach Guinsoo. But if you can reach Guinsoo, the line is very good, very consistent. They gave it a decent nerf on the A patch, but I still think this is going to be a very solid reroll line that you will play a lot of the time. So yeah, just go for your Guinsoo Kraken and be quite happy about it. So yep, that's your rerolls. All right, we're getting close. I'll do one more reroll comp for you. Ooh, well, I've done some Fast 9, but I will say Fast 9 Draven. I'm gonna do this really quickly. Fast 9 Draven, good. Play this when you're win streaking really, really hard. Play this core of units. You can either play the Ezreal and Gnar and like Elderwood package, or you can just play this package as well, where you play around these guys. And Lux is really good. This package. Lux is also really good on the board as well over Ivern. Very, like, honestly, it's basically a toss-up between these Luxes and Ivern here. So play around this. Draven another Giga Guinsoo's check. Okay, and the last comp I want to talk about is Yi. This line did very, very well for all of PvE. You want to play around this core, this Yi Nidalee Kog'Maw Vi core. Very, very nice to play around. And then you can flex in units. Well, it's not really flex. You can play two versions. I like this version the best. The Set Krug Yorick version gets a good brawler in on this board, gets, very importantly, Blossom in on this board, which is going to give you more econ to hit your board and good combat charms. But if you hit an early Sentinel, I think this version is very strong as well. You get 4 Adapter in, you get a very nice unit to Selector in the Scuttle Crab here. So this version is very, very good as well. Be open to playing this version. Yi itemization, basically always you're going to be going Guinsoo Edge of Night on this guy. You can see if I pull up the TFT table for this guy, like these items are quite core on him. And then after that, it's really just one of these guys. CC immunity tends to be quite good. The QSS or the Titans. GS is not bad either. Brawler Spat really, really good. And then the other big thing about this line is artifacts. This is where I do think it's good to have the Explorer here, is so that I can look at artifacts, except I broke the Explorer. So let me fix that real quick, I guess. What the heck? Okay, honestly, I don't know what that was. I think it just bugged out, probably some from adapter stuff. Anyway, the thing that I want to talk about is obviously artifacts. This guy is a giga artifact holder. Rapid fire cannon. I mean, honestly, you can see them all here. I don't have to read them all out, but you can see there's 6 quite good artifacts. Seekers is pretty reasonable as well. Titanic is a little bit weak after the nerfs to it, but still acceptable on this guy. So this is 1,000,000% a portable forge check, a living forge check, just all of these very, very good. Most of these items, you do still feel pretty good about going something like a Flicker Blades into this Guinsoo Edge of Night setup. So like most of these, you can't really go wrong with going Guinsoo. You can see Guinsoo Edge of Night this, Guinsoo, or even like Edge of Night Titans here, because you don't really need the Guinsoo as badly. Guinsoo Titans here, plus the Rapid Fire Cannon, because obviously if you have a range extender, you don't need Edge of Night as badly. Hellfire Hatchet, Edge of Night Guinsoo. So you can see it's usually Guinsoo Edge of Night plus one of these. And then, you know, even so, like something like this is totally reasonable. So go for this. Look at the Explorer that I got there. Put the artifacts on him. Have a good time. And aside from that, that's all I got for you guys. I don't want to make this video half an hour long, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, go check out my Metafy if you want to hear basically what I've talked about here, but even further in depth, and you want constant updates, tons of tech that I'm pushing out. I'm going to be putting out a ton of tech as I discover stuff myself, so go check all that out. Thank you guys for watching as always. Have fun on release day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching as always. I think I already said that. Bye-bye.